welcome to some really exotic locations. This is not quite with a palm tree, there's no beach here. The bus is here, Pepe is here, Landy, and we've been living out of our OZtent RV3 Light for the last year now. So we're going to go quickly through it. Should take 30 seconds to set up, and we'll just see what we liked, what we don't like, and would we recommend it. So I've got it out the bag. I'm going to just set it up quickly.
He's done this a few times before. Just a few.
Oh, there she is, man. Rough and ready. Yeah, this has served as our office for the last 12 months. We've been sleeping in the Landy for the winter, which is quite cool because we've got a little heater in there. It's far more insulated than here. I'll take you through a few things that I did notice. Maybe this serves to show you how faded it is. We've been in some really hot climates. We've been through a lot of rain, been through a lot of wind. Not too bad. What did happen is up here, so yeah, that's not standard as it left the factory. A bit of a tear. I don't know how this happened. This happened in the last 2 months or so. So yeah, basically what we can show you, drop some B-roll in, is how waterproof this is. So that's the one thing you do need to be aware of. The water doesn't run off very well. It's just sagged. I would say 40 liters of water, 40 kilos, just hanging in there. But it doesn't leak through. That's a good point.
Amazingly faded this is. It was this color originally. That's not bad.
So the one thing that we did notice was on the inside here, this is the overlap obviously as we showed you in the setup video, but right here on the hinges it's starting to go right through. It's practically through there, and on the other side it's the same. So yeah, that's probably rubbing as you close it and open it, and it pulls a lot of tension on that corner. Not ideal because that's inside the tent now, and that will probably leak, who knows. The mechanisms are cool. It seems very light and flimsy, but it all holds together. Even the plastic hinges here, and these ones down here, they seem to work. They creak a bit when you close them, but they hold up well. What we did find is in winter, like any tent, maybe a lot of condensation, especially along here. You'd see a lot of little water droplets forming here when you get below 5 degrees in the evening, which made us go and sleep in the car as well. That maybe is because it's directly on the outer fabric, I don't know. The floor, we put some tent flooring mats on top of this floor to protect the tent, to protect this fabric from our work chairs, which have quite a small little footprint. That's all fine. The mesh is cool. Did have one problem with the mesh, a slight little tear in the outer section that you add on, the modular system. If you remember this zip here, I was complaining about it, that this is very tight. See how that pulls? And then it loosens up again. I was really worried about this. It's been a year it's held up fine, so that's cool. All the zippers work properly, good quality. The mesh zippers work properly. One thing that we did notice during the rains, because we had so much rain at one point, like weeks just pouring down, is this, which when it's closed it's about this high, which really saved us. It's about 4 inches, I think. This was all wet here underneath the modular system because there's no floor here. Inside the tent, no big deal. We kept our feet dry, and all our electronics in there and the electricity doesn't work well with water. That's no problem at all. So yeah, this is a good fabric. Just don't go through it with the leg of your chair. At the back is the biggest thing where you think, okay, maybe they could have done this a little bit differently. Shit.
It must be like 40 degrees today.
Yeah, so excuse the heat and the wind again, but it's about 35 degrees now.
I'm sure it's at least 50.
This part is where I thought they kind of skimped out, but you can hear this. It's like a bin liner. When it's windy, this is what you hear inside the tent all the time, which is not very cool. I suppose it is quite waterproof in that respect. It's held up well in the sun, especially with a shiny surface. But the problem is the corners where you put your tent pole in. And in fact, this was the original spot. And yeah, that isn't ideal. I actually bought a little one of these at a very cheap Chinese shop in Spain. Put that in there, and that will now serve as our second point of. But yeah, this is not very cool in my opinion. Same with the other side. Yeah, this one's gone right through as well. The problem with these little eyes here is that they're too small for the amount of stress put on them. You need to keep the flyer sheet taut, keep it off the tent itself, and also for the wind, that it doesn't do this consistently. So in that respect, a bit of a flimsy solution in my opinion compared to the rest of the tent fabric. Also, as mentioned earlier, this fabric is thinner than this fabric, as you saw in the last video. Last point are these poles. Pretty stiff in the sun. They held up, no dents, they didn't bend. Even the ridge pole, there you go, that's after 1 year. Worked fine. I think if OZtent is even watching this far, use one of these ridge poles to hold up the back. Just add it in as it's the same price because you're paying a lot of money for this tent. If you put the ridge pole in there, your problem solves. You keep it taut without tensioning the ropes too much. So, would you recommend it is what I've been asked before. OZtent RV3 Light. I'm on the fence. This costs quite a bit of money, as you know. You're kind of thinking, how far will you get? Is it actually meant to be used the whole day, the whole year round? Why not? You know, I would give it a 50-50. Management would say without a hesitation, sure, buy another one. You recommend it, no worries. We spent many hours in here doing our work on the computer. Run the little heater in here even, which has kept the chill out. There it is, guys. Let us know down below what you think to the OZtent. It has a good name, a reputation. This is the light version. We've shown you the little problems. It's now got a hole in it, which is not ideal. Hopefully, this was informative. Hopefully you learned something out of this. If nothing else, you know what it's like now. This is an OZtent after 1 year living in an OZtent. So thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the next one. Keep rolling. And I've spoken to someone about the longevity of a tent, the expected lifespan. It's normally 13 years, right? And what that means is 52 weeks, because they assume you're going to be using a tent for 4 weeks every year. And the main wear and tear of a tent is folding it up, putting it out, packing it down, and setting it up again. So in that respect, we've done kind of a whole life cycle of a tent in 1 year, because we've been on the road for exactly 52 weeks, give or take a day. a wrap.